Let's do this!
This is the greatest guide on the internet to fixing your Indominus Rex balancing issues. Now, I combined the Instructables.com guide, the guide from the Jurassic Park toy forum from a guy named Wolf, and myself, because I was the one who first took this toy back apart in early May for my review. I was the first person to do that on the internet. What you will need: an Indominus Rex that does not stand. There are 3 types of Indominus Rexes out there: loose-legged, middle, and then tight-legged. If you're part of the tight-legged 1% like Joey from Raptor Squad is, consider yourself lucky. However, this is still a guide for you because it will give your Indominus more insurance for standing more than 2 minutes at a time. If your Indominus has very loose legs, I'm going to tell you it can be fixed. However, I cannot guarantee you more than a couple minutes that your Indominus is going to stand very well. Second thing you need is a screwdriver, Phillips, not flathead. Make sure it's the right size for the head of the screw because you do not want to strip the screw heads like I did. Yes, I'm an idiot. You'll need 2.5 ounce fish weights. They're roughly $3 at Walmart. They come in a 3-pack. I used all 3 for one of the Indominuses, and I bought another pack. I only used 2. I think 2 is the magic number. Wolf's guide on the toy forum used a metallic bar and then nuts and bolts. So I ended up going to Home Depot and searching for the nuts and bolts he listed, and then left the store in utter frustration because I couldn't find what he wanted and just became very flustered. So I went across the street to Walmart because I thought fishing weights would be fine, and boy, they are fine. You'll need brown paper. This should be free. You're going to use it to wrap the fishing weights to prevent scratching and movement around the internals of the toy. You'll need strong tape to tape brown paper around the weights. I use clear packaging tape, not a dollar store brand. That shit sucks. You'll need duct tape to tape the external top and tail whilst disassembling and reassembling your Indominus. I will tell you where to place this, just hold on to your shorts. Scissors to cut such tape. Daylight. Do not attempt to disassemble your Indominus at night or in low light conditions. It is far, far easier in daylight in a room with lots of sun. You can see inside your Indominus, and it's great because it can get very tricky at times. I keep on hyping up how difficult this is because you could possibly break your Indominus. I'm going to tell you that in a second. You'll need a comfortable chair and big table. Do not lose your screws. Make sure you have enough space. Lastly, to make the legs tighter, you'll need 2 nylon washers. They're roughly 30 cents a piece at Ace Hardware. The Instructables guide said to use a plastic washer. Well, good thing I bought plastic, nylon, and rubber at the store. I tested all 3 of them. The only one that holds extremely well in the tests was the nylon. The plastic was nothing but a joke like that guy recommended. It was very slippery, and it did absolutely nothing to add friction to the legs. So the total cost for fixing your Indominus Rex is roughly $4. Let's get it on. So you're in your brightly lit room with your Indominus. The first thing you need to do is cut 2 pieces of duct tape, one for the tail and one for the top clear camouflage piece of plastic. Sorry if I spoiled anything for the movie. Like I said previously, this is a huge help when putting her back together. I choose to tape her left side, so it seemed easier to hold the left on the bottom as I raised the right side, and I dissected it that way. Part 2. Take her apart. There are 6 screw holes with 6 screws. Take them all out with your screwdriver. Be very careful. Do not strip the screws. Also, do not forget the bottom battery compartment. You need to disassemble that as well if you want her to come apart fully. Take your batteries, put them on the side. Take your screws, put them on the side. Do not lose those 6 screws. Part 3, and this is the hardest part and easiest way to destroy your toy. Be very, 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 very careful with this part. Pull apart the Indominus. I choose to firmly grip the left and separate the right. As I lifted her up to the sky, you must go very slowly or you risk damaging the electronic box inside of her. The wires are very fragile and soldered horribly, so you have to be cautious. Set the 2 pieces down when you are done. Part 4. Now, if you have loose legs like 99% of us bad boy owners, pick a leg and unscrew the screw in the track. Take a nylon washer and place it in the thread of the screw. Screw the screw back into the hole. How tight you go at the end will affect the leg's looseness. I went extremely tight, and my legs, as a result, are extremely tight. Test it out accordingly and pick your result. Repeat for the other leg. If you go too tight, it might be a bit of a problem moving the legs because there will be almost like statue-esque. And if you try to move your legs with the feet, you're probably going to break off the feet. That's how tight the legs can get with these nylon washers. I know what I'm doing, people. Part 5. Wrap all 3 or 2 weights with brown paper and tape them. Do not use too much tape. I only used 1 piece and it was kind of small for each weight. Make sure the brown paper is fully covering the weight so no brass is exposed to scratch the toy's internals. And do not overdo the wrapping of the brown paper because you might not be able to fit all 3 weights in if you choose to put 3 in. If you just did 1 or 2 layers, it should suffice. It shouldn't move or scratch the toy internally. And if you're really concerned, you can stuff more brown paper in there. But I'm telling you right now, I have one with 3 in it and one with 2 in it, and the one with 2 is just fine. You really don't have to put extra stuff in there. Part 6. After wrapping the brown paper and taping up the weights, place them in a fashion where the bottom portion is pointed toward the bottom of the animal. It makes no sense to point the weights up. If you want to put crisscross chicken bones, I think they'll be fine. Mine is like that for the 3 and the 2. Right now I'm showing you the 2. That's the one I put in. Make sure it's just like that. To have them stay in place, what you're going to do is close the back of the toy first. You're going to put the bottom, and you're going to go slowly towards the front. Shimmy them in, and then proceed to the next step. Part 7, reassembly. After getting the weights in, and you have a little bit of the back half in, your eyes should be focused on that little white oval bowl with the LED light in it. You see how it's suspended with the 2 pegs on each side? Shimmy the 1 peg into the left side. If you do this, you're halfway home. But now it gets daunting. The second hardest part is making sure no cords are accidentally cut when assembling the 2 pieces together. Make sure you do not cut those cords. If you do, that's no bueno when you're putting the 2 pieces back together again. It can easily happen to you. It's happened to me. You have to be very careful with this part. Your animal will not work if those cords are cut. Make sure the right arm is upright in position. There's a little square cutout in the center of the arm that locks with the big square peg at the base of the neck. That part's easy to do. The hard part is the smaller peg right next to it. I always turn the toy around upside down so I'm facing the front and looking into the chest area. You'll need to flex the toy using the arms and chest and shimmy the little small peg into the hole. After you achieve this, you know you did well because the animal will now fully close. You can hold your animal together or you can put her down. It doesn't matter. If it's fully closed, you can see your animal as a quick preview if she stands or not. And I guarantee you, if you follow all my steps, she will stand. Part 8, you're almost home. Get your screwdriver and screw all 6 screws back in. Make sure that they're tight, but not too tight where you strip the heads, but tight enough to make sure the electronics inside will register. Put the batteries in and test her out. Both arms. Both arms should trigger the electronics just like they did before you did this thing. If the right arm is not triggering the electronics, it's because you didn't screw the screws in or screw them in tight enough. Inside the toy is a metal trigger that conducts the electronics. If the electronics are not functioning in the right arm, that means the metal trigger in the right arm is not touching and igniting. Tighten all the screws and it should work. Trust in Brando. If both arms work, screw the battery compartment back in. Part 9, party. I'm just kidding. Not yet. Make sure your Indominus' legs are flush on the surface and stand her on the table. Look how she stands! She stands, by God! Seriously, this is one of my favorite and best achievements. I can't stop staring at her. She's so glorious. This is all you had to do, Hasbro, was add 5 ounces of weight to the butt area. Seriously. Now take the tape off and you're done as part 10. Now, I'm not going to promise she's going to stand for extremely long periods of time, but I can promise she'll stand it for at least a couple of minutes. Prolonged use is ill-advised for probably using 3 weights. I noticed the girl that I have 3 weights in, she kind of leans a little bit more. I assume her plastic and her legs are going to be kind of weakened after a long period of time. They're going to get mushy. They're going to become soft. And she's probably going to end up leaning and falling over to the left-hand side. I think 2 right now is the magic number for balancing and not possibly destroying the balance of the animal because it might be a little bit too heavy. So by adding in these weights, you are going to be making the animal a little heavier. However, 2 of the weights I think is just fine. It adds a lot of quality in my opinion and it stands. It's incredible. So if you go with 3, do not display here without some kind of torso support or stand. This is mostly intended for play or diorama purposes and results may vary. So thank you guys very much for watching. This has been a very fun but stressful guide to make. I think I tested and took apart 3 or 4 Indominuses, and I own now 2 that are working in great condition. Thank you guys very much for watching. Namaste. I'll catch you on the flip side. Hi, let's do this. Alright, so you see we have screw holes galore. Don't mind the Mosasaurus skit that I'm working on. It's taking 3 years to finish. But let's take this guy apart, shall we? Oh man, screw holes on the face. The head hasn't come apart yet, so that's interesting.